Are you tired of shoulder pain that keeps coming back, even after stretching, massaging, or strengthening your rotator cuff? I'm Stephanie with mPower Physical Therapy, and today I'm going to show you my top 5 shoulder stability exercises that help you move better, feel stronger, and finally keep the pain away for good. These aren't your typical rotator cuff exercises. They retrain your shoulder and scapula to work together so your body can heal naturally. Stick around until the end and I'll show you which exercise most people skip, but it's the one that makes the biggest difference for long-term shoulder control and pain relief. So before we get into some of these exercises, I do want to say, anytime you look at any kind of shoulder stuff when we get into stability, you always have to look at mobility first. Another thing that we have to look at is also your neck. We have got to see how your neck moves, how your ribs move. All these things contribute to the shoulder, and if something's not moving, then the shoulder's not going to move correctly. But that's not what this video is about, but it's something to think about as we're going through some of these things. Now, the one thing that they will miss, that most people miss, again, is that mobility piece, and I'm going to show you one mobility exercise that you can do with the tennis ball to start getting the scapular movement to improve. It's going to work on some of the rib mobilizations. Now, a lot of times people think that, oh, I'm just going to go rub the tightness out. I'm going to rub those muscles out. Well, the muscles are tight because of something that's not moving. More than likely, we always have to look at that. If something doesn't move, those muscles will tighten, protect. And so you can release the muscles all you want, but if you don't get to why the muscles are getting tight, you're missing part of the problem. So when we do the tennis ball exercise, we're actually mobilizing the ribs. We're not going and rubbing on the soft tissue to release the tightness. We're actually taking it to where we're mobilizing the ribs. Now, a lot of times you're pushing through, as we're mobilizing, pushing through that tissue to get some of those ribs to move, so you will feel like you're doing a little bit of a massage as well, but which you kind of are, because you're actually, pushing into it, but we're actually pushing into the joints. So the first exercise, and this is the one that everyone misses out on, is the mobility piece, is with a tennis ball. And what you're going to do is you're going to place it in around the ribs and different parts of it. So if this is our spine, like through here, you're going to place it kind of right along close to where the spine is. And so I'm just going to show you. You can do this on the wall, where you press up against the wall, and you can do this on your back on the table. So I'm going to place it in between. You got to get it there first, in between the shoulder blades. So when you kind of lie on it, you can kind of roll up. And when you roll up, again, you don't want it right on the spine. You just want it to the side of the spine. You're going to find, as you roll, you're going to find like, whoa, that's tight. And what you're going to do is you're going to push into it. So I'm pushing straight down into the ball as I do this. So I push into the ball. I can even take my arm across. That's going to make it a little bit more intense. And you can work that rib through there where you're just mobilizing, pushing in to that rib. Now, you may have multiple ones that are tight, so you'll have to kind of roll up, doing the same thing. And again, pushing into where there's that tightness, where that joint's not moving. So these are rib mobilizations that you can do as I'm like rolling down. I'm finding some of the tightness. I'm pushing into it. As I go down, I'm feeling where there's tightness. How do you know that there's tightness? You're going to feel it. It'll feel tight, and you're like, whoa, that doesn't feel so good. It kind of feels like a hurt so good kind of pain. And so that's what you're going to do. If the ribs don't move, then the shoulder blade can't move in. So my shoulder blade can't move in if those ribs can't move inwards. So that's why this is so important. So if we're going to do a lot of scapular stability type stuff, if you don't have things moving, that is not going to help. So that's the first exercise is just getting things to move, and you can do it on both sides so that you can really feel like everything can move smoothly. Okay, the next one, so I'm going to show you without the band. I'm going to show you with the band. But this is a great one because you're going to work on mobility, getting those ribs moving with the shoulder blade, and stability. So you are actually working on some strengthening on top of actually working on mobility. So what you're going to do is you're going to come onto your hands and knees. And you want your hands to be right over the shoulders. You want the shoulders away from your ears. So I don't want your shoulders up close to your ears. Shoulders away from the ears. And what you're going to do is you're going to sink down. So the elbows stay straight as you sink those shoulder blades together. And then you're going to push and round out. So I'm not bending my elbows or anything. I'm literally sinking the shoulder blades together and then pushing them up and rounding it out. So again, it's working on mobility in the sense that we're just trying to get that movement through the full range of where the shoulder blade is. And it's working on a little bit of stability because you're actually having to use the muscles. Now you can make this harder by getting a band and holding it and doing the same thing. So you can come in, control it in, and then round out. And same kind of thing. So that's a way you can make this exercise a little bit harder. So that's the second exercise. So when you do that exercise, you know, doing 15, 20 times of just getting it to move. And you can do the same thing with the band. And those work really, really well. The next exercise. So I love this one because it works on a lot of things. I like to work on a lot of muscles at the same time. It makes everything it makes your workouts shorter. Again, if things aren't quite moving the way they should be, you might have to start with some individual muscle strengthening, but this is a really good one for some stability exercises in that shoulder blade. So you can do it without a weight or with a weight. You can do it. What you're going to do is you're going to be on your side. So we can do it on our side where we're totally in a plank like this. You can do it with your knees down like this. But what you want to do is you don't want to sink into the shoulder. You want the shoulder here, and you want to almost bring the chest back to where you're squeezing that shoulder blade. So you're really putting that shoulder blade where it should be, and it's going to have to isometrically hold that. So sometimes this is enough for people. They don't even have to be up. They can feel this right here. Now, I'm going to show you different ways. You can do the same thing up like this where you're holding it. And so you can use a weight where you come through and then you row back. Come through and row back. You can do the same thing here. Come through and row back. When you row back, you're really, again, trying to squeeze the shoulder blades together. You're doing the same thing where you're bringing them together, but you have one where you're having to really control it because you're weight bearing through it while the other one comes back and through. You're working on rotation, so you're getting your rotator cuff muscles involved because we're weight bearing with rotation and control. You're working on scapular stability, so it's a really good one that you can do, and I've shown you many modifications that you can do on that one. These are a little bit harder, so you can, depending on how hard it is, you may have to start out with like 5, 6 of them and then work your way up to doing 20 of them. Some of it depends on like what you're trying to get back to doing. If you're getting back to doing something that's going to be a little bit, typically these are more endurance type exercises that we use. We're working on the muscles that we need to be using all the time. So a lot of times I like to, depending on what I want to do, I like doing things for a little bit longer to really fatigue those muscles for something that's going to be a little bit more endurance. But if you're doing something where you need them to work with a lot of weight, then you might want to do something where you're making it harder, but doing less of them. So it really just depends on like kind of what you want to do. Okay, the next one is you're going to lie on your stomach and we're going to do kind of a W. So it looks like this. So I'll show you here and then I'll show you lying down. So your arms are going to be like a W. I call these W's, but you're going to be on your stomach. I'll show you here in a second. You're going to want to make sure the shoulders go down. And then when we squeeze the shoulder blades back, you're going to try to touch your elbows behind your back, but they don't touch. But it's just really trying to make sure that you're getting that lower trap to work. It's a great exercise to do. You can start out this way. This is like with gravity, just to make sure that you're doing it right. When you go on your stomach, you're going to do it against gravity, so you're having to work a little bit harder. I'm going to show you the next phase of it, and then I'll show you on the ground. So the next phase that we're going to do, I'm going to show you 2 ways. So that's the first way. Again, shoulders go down, squeeze. You're going to hold that squeeze, and we're going to move the arms up and then back down. so that you're really having to control through that scapula to be able to hold it and maintain it with movement. And so we're gonna do the same thing lying down. So you will lie down, shoulders come down, up. We can use movement. So that's how you can do that exercise lying down on your stomach. That's going to be a harder version of it. You can do bands with it as well, where the bands are here and you're having to like push them up, push them down. You can use weights. This one, you're going to keep it pretty low if you work your way up to that, because it is a harder exercise. You're using smaller muscles for the most part. You're going to get a good workout by not having any weight doing that when you're adding movement, because you can just add it to do 20, 30, 40. That's a great way to add, to make it harder without having to really add any kind of weight to it. But again, working on that scapular stability type exercise. Okay, the last exercise I'm going to show you is a great one. And you can basically, what you're going to do is you're going to be on your hands and knees like this. So we'll do it on this right side. So you're going to have your arm off like this. You're going to bring that shoulder down, and then you're going to come down a little bit to where you're squeezing the shoulder blade, and you're going to try to keep the body level. So we don't want to rotate. We don't want to rotate down. You're really trying to keep the body level down and squeeze. And a lot of times we give this to our patients, the patient's arm will start shaking like this. Totally normal. You're just working on those scapular, those stabilizing muscles. And so you're going to try to hold this position for a good 30 seconds to a minute. Again, working on endurance, balance, stability, all those things. You can do the same exercise and add a little ball to it. So now you're really having to balance through there and really work on some of those stability exercises. So again, these are great exercises to do to work on scapular stability. If you're noticing you're getting a lot of pain up and through here and in through the shoulder blade, it means that something is not moving or it's too hard for you and you're compensating. And so those are two things you have to look at, because you can compensate and just shift your body up a little bit to use your muscles up and through here, and that's going to create a lot of pain because it's not supposed to be taking the load through there. So those are the two things you have to look for. Are you doing it correctly? Are you compensating from it? That's going to create pain in that shoulder. Or is something not moving? Because if something's not moving, you physically can't get your body in the positions that it needs to be. And those are the two reasons usually that when you do shoulder stuff, it produces pain or tightness or gives you problems. Those are the two things that we'd be looking into. If you found this helpful, hit the like button and subscribe, and check out my next video on fixing shoulder impingement naturally to keep building your recovery. If you're local to Dallas and want a personalized help, we'd love to see you at mPower Physical Therapy. You can click on the link in the description called Discovery Visit to start the process for a free conversation with one of our specialists. You don't have to live with shoulder pain. Stability is key to the freedom.